let me show you how I make my meatballs. It's not that difficult. I have some ground meat here, beef, chicken, veal. You can use pork. You use whatever you like, only one or a mixture of it. Then, to make the meatballs really fluffy, I have some old leftover bread here. I'm gonna break it up and put it in a bowl and soak it in milk. So if you add no bread to it, your meatballs will be very sturdy and very solid, not tender and light, the way we like them. All right? And next, I'm gonna saute a little onion and a little garlic. Now, adding cooked onions gives your meatballs a total different flavors than if you would just add raw onions. So I'm gonna saute them. Okay, look, that's how we cut the onions. Be sure to keep your fingernails away from the blade. Okay, here we go, the onions, and then a little garlic. All right, that's fine. With a heavy knife, you can just squish them just like that, and then chop it coarsely. All right, let's use some olive oil, heat it up. I know making meatballs is sometimes a lot of work, but no, everybody loves them. And you know, make enough to have some leftovers, so that way you can make a meatball sandwich the next day. It's just as good. You put it on a baguette with a little bit mozzarella cheese and tomato sauce, and you will have a great sandwich. All right, now the onions and the garlic go in our pan. So you want to saute them until they get nice and glossy, not too much. So while that is cooking here, I'm going to chop some fresh herbs. Use any herbs you like. You know, I add a little thyme and a little bit of oregano. So let's chop it up. So that should be finely chopped. All right, so now our mise en place is done. I already chopped a little parsley here, so I'm going to add that to my parsley. So we have parsley, thyme, and oregano. Now our onions are done here. I'm going to put them on a plate and let it cool off a little bit. And we are ready to make our meatballs. All right, I'm going to make a mixture of all three meats here: chicken, beef, and veal. Now be sure to have freshly ground meat from your butcher. Don't buy something ground already because you don't know when they made the meat. So our bread is soaked. Okay, I'm gonna take it out, squeeze out the extra milk, and put it into our mixture. All right, that's done. Now I'm gonna add 1 egg. The egg gonna bind our meat together a little bit. The fresh herbs, the onions and the garlic. All right, salt and pepper. Okay, and lots of fresh ground pepper. Okay, and we're gonna grind some fresh Parmesan in here, and then we are ready to mix it all together and start shaping our meatballs. Okay, here about half a cup of Parmesan. And now we're gonna put our tomato sauce to a simmer here. And we're gonna mix our meatball mixture here really well. If it's too hard with a spoon, just use your hand. It makes it much better. You can mix it because you can squish it together better. All right, be sure to mix the mixture really well. We mix our mixture always by hand or with a spatula. You don't want to put it into your mixer, for example, or into your food processor, because then you would get really dense meatballs. Now, you get a bowl of water. So you wet your hands when you make the meatballs. So that way, it's much easier to form balls. You decide the size you want. At Spargo, we give people 2 meatballs per serving, and we make it about that size. All right, so now let's put it in here. All right, so just form nice balls like that. See that? Simple, and then gently put it in the sauce. I'm gonna wash my hands. You know, for sanitary reasons, it's so important to wash your hands really well with water and soap after using raw meat. So that's very important. We're gonna cover them and let them simmer now. So they take about 45 minutes to cook. You know, we are cooking the meatballs in tomato sauce, so that way they will come out really juicy and flavorful. If you roast them in the oven, they might dry out. But if you cook them in your tomato sauce, they come out so juicy. All right, so 45 minutes later, meatballs are simmering gently, and look at that. How beautiful they look. So, how are you going to test the meatballs that they are done? Well, if you have a meat thermometer, get it up to 165. We keep it right here simmering. I'm going to put it on the side here. And now I'm going to get ready to cook my pasta. Okay, we have some bucatinis here. Naturally, we have to add a little salt to the water. And I'm going to put the whole pasta in here because we are cooking a family meal here. While this is cooking here, I'm going to prepare my pan. I'm going to actually serve my meatballs in the pan and put the whole thing in the center of the table so everybody can take as many or as little as they want. Not as many because you have to share, but you take some. I'm going to put a little olive oil in here. Okay, looks like our pasta is done. Our bucatinis are cooked. All right, I'm going to reserve just a little bit of the water here, just in case I have to add it to the pasta. I'm going to add the parsley in here and our pasta. All right, toss it really well. Now, we can put a little Parmesan in the pasta or just grate it on top. So, I'm going to do both. Okay, done. All right, and now we're going to place our meatballs on top. This one looks almost like a baseball. Is that a meal or what for the whole family and the neighborhood? And I can taste the tomato sauce is amazing. Put a little bit of the tomato sauce over your meatballs now. Be generous with it because you want this beautiful sauce with your pasta too. All right. So now they are nicely dressed. Look at that with the red coat of tomato sauce over it. Naturally, we are making Italian food. A little olive oil is always good. Freshly grated Parmesan. All right. And finish with a little chopped fresh herbs, parsley, or whatever you have. So you have the colors of Italy, green, red, and white. Okay, and here we go. Friday lunch, meatballs and bucatini at Spago. But now you can make them at home. You don't even have to go to Spago. Well, you still can come, but you can make the same meatballs in your own home. It's easy to make. You can make a big load full of it. Don't make just 2 or 4. Make enough so you can serve it the day after and the day after. Everybody will love your meatballs. They are nice, tender, and juicy. I know America makes lots of meatballs. Everybody in the family makes meatballs. So tell me about your recipe, how you make your meatballs, you know. If they are delicious, maybe I will try them. So I always want to see something new, something a little bit different maybe. But these are really traditional meatballs. You'll find them from New Jersey to San Francisco.